Hello, everyone. Welcome to Academy of Astrology podcast. What I'm going to talk about today, well, for last couple of days, pretty rough for me. I have a bad cold. I'm still working and teaching and prepare a conference. But one thing draw my attention as is also quite entertaining is the heist in the Louvre Museum. So today I'm going to spend some time to check the chart of the Louvre Museum and the heist chart and go with the astro map to see what information we can find about this Louvre heist. It sounds very interesting and very surreal. It sounds like Ocean 11 happened in Paris. Well, but this time we don't have a superstar George Clooney or Brad Pitt. I really wish they can make it happen again, but sounds like they lack of a plot because apparently, if we know what happened during this heist, the thief used a very simple tool, but and a very surprisingly, they in the daytime, broad daylight, and they entry from the Louvre Museum and take a jewelry and run away. So today I'm going to look at the chart and share some insight. I shouldn't say insight, but it's just kind of a entertainment. It's Friday night. Hey, it's not my heavy duty work of the world scope mountain astrology. But hey, let's just enjoy the Friday evening and look the chart, a few chart. Okay. So first, I'm going to share with you, of course, is the heist chart. Most people already know what happened. Well, on the Sunday, 19th of October morning, just a half hour after the Louvre Museum opened, the heist was happened in the Apollo Gallery. That is where the exhibition of the jewelry happening, and also they take the almost like what worth 6 million euros jewelry away. And after this happened, that was happened broad daylight, and the museum was open. But they are really smart. They choose on Sunday. Well, if you ever know French working area or French how French people work, Sunday or weekend is sacred. It's everyone should have a good day and the rest at home. No one should be, busy at work. They're very smart and they choose this. Everyone was just pretty relaxed and executed this heist. Well, and we have exact time. Well, the reports say the police was informed around the 9:30, 5:36, but the heist was happened around the 9:30. So we have exact time and the place. So let us check this chart. The first things we will notice is the Scorpio rising and the Mercury conjunct Mars in Scorpio. If you know the traditional astrology, especially horary astrology, then you will know these are the two symbols of the thief and the robbery, Mercury and the Mars. And especially the detriment Mercury, but here Mercury just in Scorpio and the conjunct Mars. Look, more curious is about this Mars. Mars in its ruler sign, Mars in its ruling sign. So should be the noble. Don't tell me this is a, like what we say, the Robin Hood robbery. Well, they robbed a museum. I know most people don't really care about it because at this moment there are more important things worry people than the jewelry from the Louvre Museum has been stolen. But most people take it like a joke, to be honest. And we know the security system of Louvre is pretty weak since we know that they have a few the stealing happened before, but and then they admit that the security wasn't that good. Also, they cut the budget. Especially, I followed the news last day. That was the kind of a questionnaire of the chef of Louvre Museum, and she just like je ne sais quoi, I don't really care. But and the camera was pointing to the runway. Oh my God! To be honest, like people should not blame me for this happen. Really? To be honest, what I really respect this kind of attitude is out of my control. I cannot really focus on that. That is very interesting. The first things we have the Mercury conjunct Mars in this first house, really significant this heist, but and I doubt what is behind because we know the Scorpio usually have something behind and something deeper. Maybe when the story, evolve, maybe we will understand who is behind and what's the original idea of this heist. But another thing that I want to draw your attention is more about this T square, Sun opposite Chiron and T square Jupiter. This is very interesting because the Sun is happen in the gallery Apollo. Okay, Sun at 26 Libra, opposite Chiron in sixth house, the week of security or the staff people working there doesn't really pay attention, or maybe could that be some people inside work involved? We don't know because they really don't need the inside job. They really just really just walk in and take things away and bye bye, merci, au revoir. Well, T square Jupiter in Cancer, 24 degree in ninth house, a place where related to the museum, the art gallery, and the expensive object. Okay, these T square are pretty interesting. Okay, are pretty interesting. And when we see this chart, we just well, what does this chart tell us? Something much deeper that we don't know. And also, it really pointed out the weakness of the security system and the Louvre system. But however, it's quite interesting if we put this chart together with the opening of Louvre Museum. Let's do it, okay? So let me go here. I get the Louvre Museum chart. Louvre Museum was opened on the 10th of October, 1793. Okay, here has something I have to explain. First, I use the midday chart because we don't know what time exactly happened. That's first things. And second things we should know is that the Louvre Museum was opened inauguration, the opening day on this day, but the exactly open to public date was much later in the November 1793. All right, but this still has this chart still have a ceremony role. Okay, very what interesting is if you see the heist chart compare with this chart, you will say, oh my god, that is really interesting. So first at all, if we see the midday chart, okay, then we will have this, what we're talking about, the Mercury-Mars conjunction is right on Louvre Museum's Jupiter. Hey, the precious object is, has been stolen. That is interesting, okay, that's interesting. And then, but this is not only Mars Jupiter connection. Look another side in the ninth house. Well, Louvre has the Mars at a 23-degree Cancer and Jupiter. The transiting Jupiter is right on this Mars. Okay, so in one side we have transiting Mars conjunct Louvre's Mars. Jupiter. In another side, we have transiting Jupiter conjunct Louvre's Mars. I mean, you couldn't make this up, all right? This is so interesting. And then you have the event MC is right on Loop's Sun. Oh my God, this is so interesting. It become an important news. Yeah, we know that last time have such big event was 1998. Okay, was 1998, and then during that time, the museum was admitted the security system was so weak, and they have reinforced all everything. Since then, we didn't hear about such huge heist or stealing like this time. Okay, so we also have Sun on the day, on the heist was very close to Louvre's Neptune. Hey, you should not blame Neptune for this, but this is very interesting, something missing, and you really couldn't find it, okay? So these are the few charts together that we can work on it. Well, as I use the midday chart, to be honest, I really shouldn't to go too much detail, like for example, the house or the anything else. But one thing draw my attention. Well, the Mars in the Louvre Museum chart at 23-degree Cancer is in its fall, the sign of the fall, and in this midday chart, Mars ruled the sixth house, the people working there, okay, people working there, and then usually we know the story when people stealing the things. That usually they pretend that they are the staff, people who working there. For example. The most important one you probably heard about that was the stealing of a Mona Lisa in the 1911. In the 1911 by the Vincenzo Perugia. His name is so easy to remember. Okay, so I have the chart for that. Okay, let's go to have a quick look, just for fun. Okay, here we have a stealing of a Mona Lisa by the Vincenzo Perugia. The event was happened on the 21st of August 1911 on Monday. This was the day usually museum was closed at 7 a.m. At 7 a.m. He entered to the Louvre Museum and take the Mona Lisa away. Okay, and he was found later, 2 years after. Okay, now we can see this chart is quite interesting. All right, in this chart, we have the ascendant is not far from Mercury. And hey, we have Neptune. We have Neptune on the Mars, okay? On the Mars. So they're stealing things. What's happening? And we have like a Saturn return, and the Mars is, well, let's say 7 degree away from the Saturn. Let's still count. Well, we have Chiron on the south node. That is very interesting, and as I said, this ascendant should not count, but pretty interesting. We cannot avoid that Jupiter is very close to the ascendant. But hey, this is the Louvre's midday chart rather than the exact chart. The Venus is on the Louvre's moon again. For the midday chart, I should not count the moon, but listen until the end because I suspect this moon has a significant role, okay? Or maybe if you know the mundane astrology, you probably already know what I'm talking about. You probably know you probably can guess what I'm going to talk about, okay? But this is the most famous stealing in the Louvre Museum on the 1911. By saying that, to be honest, my expertise is comet. As I know, the 1910 and 1911, there were several big comet, Halley's comet, and the 1911 comet was the broad daylight comet was happened that time. And the last year we have 2 or 3 bright comet, and at this moment we have another bright comet happening. Okay, I don't want to go to detail. I think you had enough when I talked about the comet. But let's focus on the stealing and the Louvre chart. So this is a very interesting. Okay, the another stealing chart, I think, well, I don't know. I still want to look at because wasn't that as surprising me? But this was the last time on the 1998 the painting Le Chemin de Sévère was being stolen. As I don't have exact time, unlike the stealing of Mona Lisa, I know was 7 a.m. or this heist, the jewelry heist we know was at 9:30 a.m. This chart, I don't know the exact time, but you can still check it with the planetary movement was quite interesting because the Saturn still the weakness. Saturn and the Mars are usually suggest some weakness. When you have the Sun and the Mars conjunct the Saturn at that time, 1998. Okay, so that was a pretty interesting again. Hey, have you seen the Venus was opposite the moon? So I say it was several times this moon was being triggered. So I don't know. I mean, hey, take it easy, but it's kind of, something that we should pay a little bit attention. Okay, something that we should pay attention. Well, another thing that us go back to what we can see. So first things I want to share with you is from the mundane astrology view. Let's focus on the maybe the Aries ingress in Paris. Okay, this year Aries ingress in Paris, we have the ascendant at 15-degree Gemini and Jupiter. A detriment Jupiter at 14-degree Gemini. Okay, a Gemini, and then the Mercury conjunct Venus, Mercury retrograde conjunct Venus retrograde at 11th house. At 11th house, that is something quite interesting. To be honest, is something quite interesting. Okay, and we have the Jupiter. At least Jupiter is ruler of 7th house. So this is if this is a chasing chart, the 7th house would be the person we're chasing. But no, this is the Aries English chart, but that's something expensive. Happen on something expensive. This is quite interesting. Okay, this is quite interesting. And then we have another chart that we should pay a little bit attention, which is the solar eclipse chart. Solar eclipse chart, solar eclipse on the 29th of March. This chart is quite interesting because you have Saturn exact conjunct the MC. Okay, we know for the French politician this year is totally disaster. Okay, they have the prime minister has to step down and come back again, and to avoid the conflict he has to do some certain compromise things, and the French politician sounds very very chaotic at this moment this year, and we see the solar eclipse chart. We can see that. Well, Mars in the first house, so usually the way I read it is people are angry. People are angry, and this try the Saturn. This is very interesting. But how about we see this Mars as the robbery? Okay, the robbery happened for the Louvre because Mars is usually the sign of the robbery or thief, or that is quite interesting. This suggests the important. This Mars is not far away from the ascendant, so important things that people care about is this robbery. Pretty interesting. Why I am saying that? Because this is happening. This okay. Do you know this is not the only case happen in Paris? If I tell you in September, the 16th of September this year, the gold nugget costs a worth €1 million, €1 million, has been stolen from French National History Museum by a Chinese lady. And this Chinese lady was arrested couple days ago before this heist happened. You couldn't make it up. The heist, the robbery sounds the major theme of, maybe I will not say only in France. Could be many countries of East Europe. Okay? Could be many countries of West Europe, because Mars, for this area, Mars will be around the ascendant. So I'm not going to only single out in France only, but it could be most of West European countries are going to share the similar theme. Okay, so this is very interesting, and we have a Mars. We have a Mars here, and the ruler of the fifth house. So, well, kind of, expensive jewelry, is kind of being stolen, and it become important news. This chart, worth us pay attention. And I'm curious now, so I'm going to put this chart together with maybe first with the Louvre chart, okay, with the Louvre chart, and to see. Okay, if we put the Louvre chart in the middle, yes, of course. No wonder I feel this Mars was so familiar again. Okay, this Mars is on the Louvre's Mars. Okay, this is this solar eclipse was a Louvre's Mars return. Pretty interesting, and then you can see the south node about the lost, about diminishing, was conjunct Louvre's moon at 28 degree Virgo. Okay. Usually, I don't like talking about the moon position and the ascendant position of a midday chart and a noon chart. However, there's several indications that point out that this moon could be sensitive point. Okay, the first, what do we see? Okay, this is the solar eclipse chart we have in the 29th of March. And you probably remember because it's not happened not long ago. We have another solar eclipse. We have another solar eclipse on 21st of September. Sun Moon conjunct at 29-degree Virgo. Hello, have you noticed that? Okay, this is a precious, this is so interesting. And then if we go and okay, that's also the Jupiter. We already know the Jupiter is on the Mars and the Mars is on Neptune. Oh la la. You cannot make it up. Okay. All right. Let's go to the another chart. Okay, this is more fun. This is more fun. Let's go to lunar eclipse on the 7th of September. Then we have the sun and the moon opposite the Mercury at 14-degree Virgo. Okay. And then Jupiter is approaching the Mars. Okay, we already know that. So this is quite interesting. The several chart, especially usually the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse are indicate the shocking news in France, the shocking news in Paris. The only one thing I haven't looked at is the eclipse chart with the Fifth Republic chart. I know some astrologer prefer use the First Republic. I like use Fifth Republic. This is my idea of the how a country run with constitution. So I prefer the Fifth Republic chart. If you check the Fifth Republic chart, the inner circle, okay, this is my personal choice. I prefer use Fifth Republic. I know some astrologer they prefer First Republic, and you will see something pretty interesting. What? Okay, the first you will notice was the Mars position. Have you noticed that the Fifth Republic's moon is at a 21-degree Cancer? Already ring the bell? If I added another chart, you will see. But look first, this is the solar eclipse on the 29th of March, Mars at 22-degree Cancer. As we already talking about it related to Louvre. Okay, the Mars was conjunct the moon. Okay, this is very interesting. All right, so let me add a third ring because the third ring was the Louvre's. Because I remember we have Louvre's Mars here. Remember that? We have Louvre's Mars here. Okay, I usually I don't like to see the three ring at the same time, but this is so interesting. Okay, this is so interesting to look at this chart together. The Mars is on the French Fifth Republic's moon, and then the solar eclipse there, and then also the Louvre's Mars is here too. Okay, now let's go back to ring. Then also let's go back to the maybe what else? Let's finish the lunar eclipse first. This is a lunar eclipse on the 7th of September. Oh, we have Jupiter here, and Mars is right on the Fifth Republic. Mars is right on Fifth Republic's descendant. Okay, and then MC is on Fifth Republic Saturn. This is pretty interesting. And Uranus, we know, well, Mars has been triggered several times. Hey, come on, check it. All right? A shocking things, a shocking news. Okay. Now let's check the solar eclipse chart on the 21st of September. Of course, we will have Uranus still here, but ascendant is nearby. All right, ascendant is nearby, and then what do we have? Because we will have, well, a part of Jupiter is really on the moon. Mars is nearby. Mars. This is so interesting when we check this chart. Jupiter is on the Louvre's Mars. Okay, and then for early this year we have a Mars here. So, well, you couldn't make it up. So, well, I would suggest let's go to check something else because another technique I like very much is the astro map, especially the local space chart when we looking for the the important event in a country. Okay, now, you see, I already built a few chart. We already built a few chart with the astro.com. And if you go to Astro click local space, then you can use the chart you draw with, the detail of map. Okay, let us go to this map and let me click much bigger so we can see what happening. Okay, the heist was happened. This is Louvre Museum, very beautiful place if you ever have chance to visit. Okay, here, this area where I point out is where the thief entering, okay, where the thief entering the museum. So the gallery is around here. They stole them from here. Okay, so this is the map. Now, I'm going to play a bit with so-called local space technique. The first things what we know, according to the report, and I don't think they have so many other way to go. The thief was go along the river bank. The thief was go along the river bank, and quite interestingly, you have the one we already talking about, the Mercury and the Mars line go through the river bank. Well, I have to say you cannot make this up, all right? Because according to different time, the Mercury and Mars will point to different direction. All right. So you cannot say no shit, Sherlock. This is the interesting, the timing. The timing happened. Mercury line was along the riverbank where the thief run away. But however, they run away from here and then they go to Pacific Boulevard is here. And then toward here, they run to A6. Where is A6 Autohood? Autohood A6 is this one, okay? So they coming down like this and go to A6. So we know they go to south direction. But at first they run away from the riverbank. That was the where the Mars and Mercury runs by. Okay. Second things, some speculations say, this kind of a well-organized heist may be organized by some collector. So where we may going to find the jewelry, I really don't know. But the local space map maybe offer us some idea if we go higher, if we go larger. Well, Pluto line go to Belgium, and we know the Antwerp is the where big jewelry collection. But hey, I don't know. But let's see where Pluto line ending up. Russia? I'm not sure. But hey, have you checked the Mercury and the Mars line go to Middle East? Well, maybe some rich collector living there. All right, I don't know. Or maybe they go down. No, they really don't have many connection, but only the Middle East. Okay, so well, I'm wondering, but this is one thing. But another possibility, the Mercury Mars line go to United States, especially go to southeast of United States. So Carolina, Florida. Well, a lot of rich people living there. Could that be jewelry end up there? Or this direction, or Pluto direction? I mean, go to Spain. Okay. So, well, or maybe Saturn, but Saturn line go to United Kingdom. Well, maybe we don't know. Okay. So this is pretty interesting. One thing we look. Okay. Another things I like to share with you. Let me come back to here. Okay. So as I already talking about let's check a few chart. The first is the Aries English chart of Perry. Okay, Aries English chart in 2025. And then how I'm going to, hey, come on, I don't like this. Okay, so if we draw the Aries English chart, from Paris, and where I'm going to make it as a center, I'm going to make the Élysée Palace, the French president house, as the center of this house, as of this map. This is the where French President Emmanuel Macron, where he lived. Okay, then you will see Sun Neptune line go through Louvre. Sun Neptune line, okay, go through Louvre. This is the local space map according the Aries English chart. And if you continue, this map, this Sun Neptune line also go through National History Museum where the gold has been stolen. Okay, so it's quite interesting. Gold been stolen. Sun Neptune, quite interesting. All right, so this is the interesting map that I'm going to. I think. Well, it's quite interesting to look at the map, isn't it? Okay, let us see, is there anything else we can have a look? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. Well, Libra English, let's check it. I don't know. Will Libra English tell us anything? Could be, Okay, that again, let us make it bigger. And I'm going to, once we have a Paris map, I'm going to make it to the center of the power center. I mean, the power center of the France, not at 100% the center of the Paris. Okay, here we are. Here we are. Once we have these, we can move the point to where Emmanuel Macron is. All right. Well, we we only have a Venus line goes through Louvre. Well, nothing surprised me, to be honest. Yeah, not really go through the area. Okay, okay. So, well, I can try another one. Maybe the solar eclipse shot on the 29th of March. I don't know. Will this map tell us anything? At least we have Aries English chart work. Okay, Aries English chart working. Okay, now let me move it to here. This is where, okay, again, we don't have many clue. We don't have many clue. All right. Finally, well, finally, let me move to the okay, solar eclipse on the September. Does that suggest anything? Well, if you never play this, go to play with it. Look, it's going to be fun because you can use the local space from your map to see where are. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, what do we have? Oh no, that's all right. It is nodal line. Doesn't really mean anything for me, okay? But the direction also suggests Sun, Moon, conjunct Neptune, and the Saturn. Well, I don't really think that means anything. Let's go to final one. So, lunar eclipse on the 7th of September. Probably the same, I think. Probably the same. Again, let me move to the president house. Well, this time again, Venus. Of course, we know Venus is a precious stone. And have you seen the Venus line really go through? Venus line really goes through the Louvre. And I think according to this line, it will also, no, not really, a bit far from the National History Museum. But we have Venus line go through it. And let me check. What's the Venus position at the lunar eclipse chart? I'm quite curious now. Well, Venus was at 15 degree Leo. Okay, well, not really. Doesn't mean anything else. But hey, quite interesting. Let's go back to the Aries English chart. I think Aries English chart usually is very sensitive. Usually is very sensitive. Tell us what area that we should pay attention, all right? Especially, I mean, when we talking about the important event. And here, if I move from the president house, then the line, Sun, you cannot make it up. Sun, Neptune really goes through this gallery, right? Exact, okay? I'm not make it up. Have you seen? This is where the thief entering the Louvre and the Sun Neptune line right across it. Okay, Sun Neptune line right across it. Okay, so this is pretty interesting. Well, I think I'm going to stop sharing here. Well, just tonight, I mean, it's a bit entertaining talking about the heist in the Louvre, and we go to check the, historical chart with the Mona Lisa has been stealing a stealing of a Mona Lisa chart, and the Chemin de Sévère chart. It's kind of it pinpoint the chart of the Louvre on midday has something quite interesting. What do you think? Do you have any, comment or what you like to share with me? It's just entertainment because I don't really have time to prepare something today. I'm just recover from the cold, but I really, thinking this could be going to be interesting to for a Friday night, a little bit chit chat, a little bit, kind of a chat analyze. I hope you like it, and don't forget, serious things. Okay, don't cut it off from now. Academy of Astrology online conference is between 5th to 7th of December. And at this moment, we have an early bird price until the 10th of November. This year, we have Sue Tompkins, Lynn Bell, Hakan, Kenan, Yasin, Mandi Lockley, Lianne McCafferty, Wendy Stacey, and a lot of my dear friend, okay, Tania Daniels going to join us. And we cover majorly from the forecasting skill, or you say prediction skill. Sue Tompkins going to talk about secondary progression. Geraldine going to talk about the solar arc direction. Hakan going to talk about zodiac releasing. If you never know, it will be very interesting. Alejo López is going to talk about the important transit in the life. And then the second day we have Christeen Skinner, Mandi Lockley, Lianne McCafferty, and um, Wendy Stacey going to talk about the current transit and how we prepare, for the 2026. Christine's going to talk about the European 2026 to 2032. All these only cost you £80. And if you cannot attend the exact event on the date, you can access the recording for 2 months. Okay, 2 months. So grab your chance. All right, grab your chance, and before the 10th of November when the early bird price finish. All right. So, well, thank you for watching. And I think the next week, let me check the calendar. Next week we will come back because well, oh no, next week is another Friday. Oh my God, that's a Halloween. All right. Give me some idea, please. Suggest something I can talk about. If not, I maybe think about talk about astronomy or something else. Let me know what do you think, okay? All right. See you next week. Bye bye.